Well, there we are. Ashes of Creation officially coming to Steam. And honestly, I think this is a terrible idea. Not because I don't love this game, not because I want it to fail, but because I care about it. And I really think this move could do far more harm than good. You know, I first heard about this a few days ago. I didn't want to believe it. I even made a video asking, what if Ashes of Creation went to Steam? Because I'd had a tip, was made aware that something like this was potentially put into motion. Well, that tip turned out to be right. And now here we are. Ashes of Creation, one of the most highly anticipated open world MMORPGs, is heading to Steam. And I don't know what to say. You know, when I first got this tip, heard this meeting that had occurred, I just didn't want to believe it, but was told Steam and the target date of December 11th with a potential price drop of somewhere $40 to $50. And yeah, my gut reaction is we are rushing straight into a fire. I mean, I get it. Steam means exposure, millions of eyes, instant discoverability. Actually, a lot of the comments that I had on my video and my shorts that I put out mentioned that. Eventually, this will be a great thing. But for now, you know, that means instant judgment. And right now, Ashes of Creation just is not ready for that spotlight. Just isn't. Servers are unstable. Game is full of bugs. It's really barely a new player experience that's any fun. You know, and the honest truth is right now, Ashes of Creation is just not ready for that spotlight. Just isn't. You know, if Intrepid pushes this version of Ashes of Creation onto Steam in this state, it's setting itself up for a wave of negative reviews that really could haunt this game forever. You know, Steam players don't hold back. This isn't the forums. This isn't the Ashes of Creation Discord. You know, once those mostly negative tags start appearing on your Steam game, you don't really come back from that. You just don't. We've been down this road before. Remember Ashes of Creation Apocalypse? That launch was on Steam, right? And it was rough, to put it mildly. I think it's currently sitting at a 38% positivity, so mostly negative. Bugs, instability, confusion. It was a PR nightmare. Many of us thought Intrepid had learned from that experience. I never thought that they would go back to Steam ever again. But here we are. Here we are. So why is this happening? You know, from what I've heard, and again, I've listened to parts of this internal hands-on meeting. And, you know, this announcement really came as a surprise even to the development team. Part of the presentation that I listened to had to comment on why now? Why the rush? Because their team just found out literally a week ago. On the Friday that we had a live stream canceled was when they had the all hands meeting that this was announced. So the Steam push was apparently, very fast. And maybe they're trying to capitalize on New World shutting down. Maybe they're hoping to grab wandering MMO players that are looking for a new home. And you also had a few other MMOs at this point canceled. The Warhammer 40K, for all we know, is done. Ghost MMO is done. But for New World, the truth is that audience really doesn't overlap with Ashes of Creation. Did a video on that. Just doesn't. They're very different kinds of MMORPGs. And I'd probably say the same about Warhammer 40K and about the Ghost MMO. And if that's the reason for this sudden division, and if that is the reason for this sudden decision, and it's really not a strategic one, it really isn't. It's more reactionary. Hope of being able to pick up where others fail. You know, Steam takes a 30% revenue cut. Now that does eventually potentially drop down to 20% based off your sales. But for that, things have to be going very well. And for a studio like Intrepid, I mean, that is a big hit. Unless there's just pressure from somewhere. And that's what worries me. What is it that is going on behind the scenes that we're just unaware of? And how is it impacting the game? Because when I look at the timeline, rushed features before bugs are fixed, harbingers, sudden marketing pivot, it all feels like there's been outside pressure, something to push things forward even when they shouldn't be. Maybe investors are pushing. Maybe there's something financial happening behind the scenes. I don't know. But whatever it is, it doesn't feel like the confident, transparent Intrepid we've come to know. You know, I think they're going to be calling this Steam Alpha Early Access. But Steam doesn't recognize that distinction, right? There's only early access. And that label comes with expectations. Players do expect stability, some sort of content, and some sense of completion. If you put a truly alpha test on Steam and charge for it, people won't see it as testing. Done a video on that too. They'll see it as a paid release, and they'll likely review it as one. You know, I've tried to warn them. Many of you tried to warn them with your comments. I reached out. I passed along your feedback from my videos. All sorts of comments saying, please don't do this. Not yet. The overwhelming response from the community was very, very clear. Releasing on Steam right now would be a disaster. You know, here's what I would predict. They'll maybe get a short-term boost, spike in purchases, maybe a wave of curious MMORPG fans. But unless there's a massive, and I mean massive improvement, performance, content, server stability, it's going to be refund city. Steam's refund system is fast and unforgiving. Players will buy, play for 2 hours, walk away. And those reviews, they're going to stick around forever. Even if Intrepid fixes everything later, the Steam ratings will still be there, along with the reputation that they will have garnered. And that can just kill everything, short-term, long-term, the game itself. Yeah, I want to be clear. This isn't about blaming the developers. Not at all. I know some of the people that are working at Intrepid. I've gotten to know some of the developers fairly well, played the game with them. They're passionate, they care. They've poured years of their lives into this game. And this is bigger than them. But it hurts to see good people caught in what feels like a bad decision at the top. That hurts really bad. I feel for them. I really do, because I do think there's a lot of concern in that group. They understand more than anyone at this point where Ashes of Creation is in its development cycle and what going on Steam will mean. You know, where do I go from here? I don't honestly know. I am not sure. I'll still be covering Ashes of Creation, of course. I'll still play it when it hits Steam. Right now, though, I'm deeply disappointed, and I've been covering this game for 9 years. And for the first time, I'm genuinely worried about the future of this game. You know, I've doomed at times, or whatever you want to call it. I think I'm more realistic than doomerish, but this really is the first time I am genuinely worried. Because Ashes of Creation was supposed to be the MMO that learned from the mistakes of the past, not repeat them. So, yeah. I'll be spending more time looking at other upcoming games. Where Winds Meet is really big on my radar. So I will likely be venturing there if you want to join me. But I'll be here, hoping I'm wrong. Hoping this doesn't become the beginning of the end. One of the most ambitious MMORPGs ever made. If you care about the future of MMOs or about Ashes of Creation, I want to hear about it. I want to know your thoughts. I really want you to tell Intrepid what you think. There's still time, as they say. We're not on Steam yet. If you're still hopeful, I really, really want to hear about it. So, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you around in the next one.